what they deserve.
Renovations are expected to be completed by 2017, but in the meantime, all other services will be operational. Yana?
Rasha, thanks. And the upgrades couldn't have come at a better time for LA, as more tourists are visiting than ever before. In fact, tourism has reached record-breaking heights. We turn once again to Rasha Goel.
The City of Angels saw a successful year in 2014 in the tourism industry. With millions of tourists visiting the entertainment capital, LA saw growth in many areas.
We welcomed an impressive 44.2 million visitors last year, which was an increase of 5% over the prior year. Those 44.2 million visitors directly spent a record $19.6 billion on our hotels, attractions, restaurants, shopping, and more.
Tourism also had an impact on local jobs.
Tourism helped employ 1 in every 9 workers across the county, and 96,000 new jobs. Of those 96,000 new jobs in LA, 26% were within this industry.
Officials have more in store for the upcoming year.
We're going to encourage visitors to get to know on a deeper level, exploring our distinct neighborhoods here in Los Angeles.
In addition, tourist destinations such as Universal Studios are adding new adventures to the theme park, which officials say will help attract even more visitors. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
City officials say their goal is to reach 50 million visitors by the year 2020. And those tourists coming to visit will experience a much safer city. That's according to city leaders after the success of their latest gun buyback program. Anna Marcos has the story.
This pink camouflage assault weapon, one of many illegal guns now safely off the streets of LA. The city's gun buyback program netted close to 750 guns. In the past few years, gun buybacks have taken thousands of weapons out of commission.
We've taken about almost 14,000, actually probably from today, more than 14,000 unwanted guns off the streets of LA. And when we ask people how they feel when they drop them off, over 90% of them feel safer in their homes, feel safer in their neighborhoods.
City leaders are celebrating the success of the program over the last 6 years. They say confiscating the guns may have stopped an untold number of shootings and crimes.
Every year, unwanted guns either are used in a home, in an accidental shooting, or in a suicide, or taken from a home and used in a violent crime. These unwanted guns are exactly the kind of guns that need to be off the street.
A lot of these people don't have the luxury to have a safe at home and safeguard them. They will keep them under the bed, and under mattresses, in a closet, in a garage.
The gun buyback took place in 2 locations, West LA and Van Nuys. City leaders turning in firearms got up to $100 for handguns and up to $200 for assault weapons.
Like here, you see here a sawed-off shotgun. I mean, this is not used in any recreational way. This is something that's used, it is an illegal gun, first of all, and it's used criminally.
LA has recently seen an uptick in crime. City leaders say events like the gun buyback are just part of a multi-pronged anti-crime effort. In this next budget, the mayor wants to double the LAPD's Metro Division, as well as its domestic abuse response teams. And he hopes to expand crime intervention and prevention programs. He and other city leaders are determined to set their sights on stopping gun violence. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The gun buyback program is an initiative of the mayor's Gang Reduction and Youth Development Office, but the LAPD and community groups are also involved. Well, from one collection event to another, this one comes in the form of polluted stormwater. A project is underway to receive, retain, and recycle the water that typically flows near LAX after a major storm. Gil Reyes has the details. Gil.
That's right, Yana. That water treatment project you're talking about will actually be built some 50 feet below ground from where I'm standing in this grassy field in Playa del Rey. And when it's finally completed, it's expected to save the city 100 million gallons of water on average per year.
It usually doesn't rain in Southern California, but when it does, some of it winds up here in this field near LAX. As polluted stormwater contaminated with airport toxins, the dirty water then flows into Santa Monica Bay, threatening sea life, not to mention us.
Today, that changes with this facility, a way for us to be able to clean that water before it goes to the sea and retain much of that water so that we can use it as well in this historic drought.
LA City leaders sign off on a $40 million water treatment project to be built below this land. It's expected to transport dirty stormwater either to the nearby Hyperion treatment plant, where it will be cleaned, then released to the ocean, or to the city's groundwater basin. That storage basin is expected to collect, on average, 100 million gallons of water per year.
And the community insisted this project got done. And this project found some champions who refused to take no for an answer.
After years of delays and red tape, city leaders and the federal government finally agree on a system in which the Bureau of Sanitation will operate the facility, while LAX's overseers, Los Angeles World Airports, will continue to own the land. Roughly 5 acres above ground will be turned into park space.
To be a leader in environmental sustainability, not only for the airport community, but in the nation.
And the expected completion date for the entire project, city officials say in about 4 years. In Playa del Rey, Gil Reyes for LA This Week. Yana, back to you in the studio.
Gil, thanks. And most of the project will be funded by Proposition O, a 2004 clean water bond measure authored by LA Mayor Eric Garcetti when he was a councilman. And as city and state leaders make a big push for water conservation, one homeowner is leading by example and is taking water-saving measures into her own resourceful hands.
The water comes in and is stored in this gray water tank here, and it's coming from the showers and the tub and the sinks and the washer, and then it's treated here. And once it's treated, it goes into a 200-gallon storage here in the ground.
Encino homeowner Janie Thompson is giving a tour of her gray water filtration system that she installed nearly 2 years ago. The system cleans water from her shower, tub, and washing machine and redirects that water to her yard. She said she's been able to cut her water use on her 1/3 acre property by half and still maintain her lush landscaping.
Everybody's able to do that. It's such a simple thing you can do, just connecting your washer out to your backyard. And it's legal.
City Council member Paul Koretz, state officials, and other environmental activists joined Jamie at her home to applaud her efforts and encourage other residents to keep watering their trees, even if they've already ripped out their lawns. Koretz said Angelinos must do everything they can to save our trees.
Trees keep the heat down in our neighborhoods. Trees sequester carbon dioxide and actually fight global warming. Trees clean and retain a huge amount of water and hold soil in place.
In an effort to protect the city's trees, Koretz recently introduced a slate of motions to City Council aimed at combating the drought by developing a plan to improve the health of LA's trees and by redirecting used water to the city's water treatment plants for recycling and reuse. Meanwhile, experts from Tree People had a few tips and suggestions for residents when watering their trees.
We need to make sure that we are doing that under the whole canopy of the tree, not just at the base of the tree, especially on the mature trees that we have. So put that water out. It's great to use a drip system like Janie has installed here. It lets the water soak in slowly and deeply, at least 18 inches.
Officials say with a little effort, you can still have your lush yard and save water at the same time. And this week, we begin a multi-part series on a new city initiative called CityLink LA, which officials say will transform Los Angeles into a technological hub of high-speed internet access for all. Medical student Sandra Reyes is studying to be a nursing assistant at the Concord Career College in North Hollywood. She spends most of her day online watching educational videos and reading. But when she has to study at home, Sandra hits a roadblock on the information superhighway. That's because with about 12 devices being used at her house at the same time, her internet connection simply isn't up to speed.
In a perfect case scenario, if my internet was fast and I didn't have to buffer, it would actually depend on whether I was going to sleep at 10 or I was going to sleep at 2 in the morning. Because I would have to wait until it buffers, and then still I have to retain all this information.
But city leaders are hoping to change all of that with a new initiative called CityLink LA. Launched by Mayor Eric Garcetti and Councilmember Bob Blumenfield in 2014, the effort seeks to provide affordable and reliable high-speed internet and Wi-Fi to all LA residents and businesses, regardless of income or neighborhood.
That would be amazing.
I would love it. Councilmember Bob Blumenfield says right now some underserved areas of the city don't have internet, creating a digital divide among more affluent neighborhoods which can afford high-speed internet. But he says CityLink LA will ensure everyone in LA is connected equally. He says high-speed broadband is not only good for LA, but critically necessary.
I want to make sure that we are that city, that premier city of the future, that we're going to be competitive, that our students are going to have the knowledge and information, that we're going to have the free flow of information, the goods movement, both physically and virtually, that are going to make our city a success and make all of our residents a success.
And in order to do that, the city plans to enter into a public-private partnership with one or multiple internet providers that would invest in laying the fiber optic cable and all of the groundwork for the project. In return, the city would provide city-owned property, offer reduced costs, and fast-track permits to streamline the process. All of that at no cost to the taxpayer. City officials say they went to great lengths to understand the needs of a potential vendor.
We think it's critical to increase the success of a project like this, to be able to have done our homework, to have learned what the best options are, and to make those options available so that we entice as many vendors as possible, regardless of who they are and where they're coming from, to be able to deliver an important project like this.
City leaders say they hope to have the public partnerships in place and break ground by next year. While the LA River may hold the key to LA's future growth and sustainability, LA Mayor Eric Garcetti is encouraging TV productions to take advantage of state tax credits, and Angelenos ditch four wheels for two during Bike Week LA. These stories in City Beat. The LA River is the next frontier. That's according to a new report by the LA Business Council Institute, an organization that seeks to strengthen and promote environmental and economic sustainability. The report was the focus of a recent sustainability summit. Held at the Getty Center, topics ranged from opportunities for new housing, economic growth, and sustainable development along the LA River. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti said that environmental sustainability is tied to urban sustainability. He said understanding that connection will help lead to future economic growth and sustainability in Los Angeles. And the LA River is a great starting point.
Many ways that river is a prism for many of the values that we hold, and an opportunity, a platform for us to see greater transportation, health indicators, sustainability, urban ecology, open space, as well as economic development too.
The mayor also talked about the recently released Sustainability City Plan, a comprehensive roadmap aimed at preparing LA for a sustainable future, both environmentally and economically. Metro and city leaders kicked off Bike Week LA last week to help folks gear up for Ciclavia, which takes place at the end of the month. Various bike-friendly activities were held, from free Metrolink train rides to bike safety education classes, all in an effort to encourage Angelenos to bike more often. One biker who takes the bus from Palos Verdes and then pedals to work downtown said his 2-hour commute is worth it.
We all work with stress in our lives, and my best days at work are the days when I pedal in. I've got the workout done, I come in, I'm calm, and it just makes for dealing with the rest of the day so much better.
It's about showing people about the possibilities when we not only educate ourselves about what is possible, but also making car drivers and other people aware that people are sharing the road with us.
More than $50 million in state tax credits are now available for new TV series, TV pilots, movies of the week, and miniseries, according to Mayor Eric Garcetti. In addition, more than $27 million in tax credits are available for Relocating TV Series, a television series that filmed its most recent season outside of California, but is relocating to California because of the new tax credit. Mayor Eric Garcetti helped lead a statewide coalition to pass legislation tripling California's film and TV production tax credit to $1.65 billion over 5 years. The credit is expected to support 50,000 middle-class jobs. Downtown's Pershing Square will soon become a place the whole family can enjoy, as city officials broke ground on 2 new children's playgrounds. That's the focus of This Week in Tweets. Los Angeles city leaders came together to break ground on what will be 2 brand new playgrounds for children at Pershing Square. LA area resident Belinda Jackson tweeted a pic of city leaders with shovels in hand, writing, "Breaking ground, 2 new play areas." Another photo tweeted by Jackson showed the Department of Recreation and Parks General Manager Michael Schull making remarks on the podium. Rec and Parks also tweeted a pic of Councilmember Jose Huizar on the podium, writing, "Pershing Square Playgrounds break ground." Another LA resident, Tom Nakanishi, posted a pic of a backhoe moving dirt at the location with downtown skyscrapers in the background. He posted, "Groundbreaking of Pershing Square Renew Playgrounds in downtown LA. Thanks, Jose Huizar." The council member posted his own pic, writing, "Breaking ground on new Pershing Square Playground with Rec and Parks, long-time improvements planned through 2050. The 2 new playgrounds will be designed for children ages 2 to 12 and will feature play structures that will promote physical strength and social play. And that's our This Week in Tweets. Enjoying a movie on a warm summer night, a new Harry Potter exhibit, and a retrospective on a rock and roll legend. All this in this week's Things to Do. With summer just around the corner, it's time for some outdoor movie nights. On select Saturdays, bring a picnic blanket and head over to the Autry South Lawn to watch classic movies projected in HD onto the largest outdoor movie screen on the West Coast. On Saturday, May 23rd, you can catch the coming-of-age film Almost Famous, starring Kate Hudson. Some of the city's tastiest food trucks and local bands will be on hand, plus every event is dog-friendly. Select museum galleries will also be open from 5:30 to 8 p.m. The Autry in Griffith Park is located at 4700 Western Heritage Way. As space is limited, reservations are recommended. For more information, visit theautry.org/programs. Harry Potter's legendary wizardry lives on at the Hollywood Museum. The museum's new collection of sorcery goes on display May 22nd and includes acquisitions from the Harry Potter film franchise. Come see original wands, Harry Potter's robe, his ultimate broom, blueprints of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Spotlighted are new items from noted Harry Potter historian Christopher Knoll. The ultimate broom used by Harry Potter in the Sorcerer's Stone and his quill and ink bottle used while at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry enhance the exhibit. For more information, visit thehollywoodmuseum.com. And if you're a fan of rock and roll, check out the Bill Graham and the Rock and Roll Revolution exhibit at the Skirball Center. It's the first comprehensive retrospective about the life and career of the rock legend. Recognized as one of the most influential concert promoters in history, Graham launched the careers of countless rock and roll legends in the 60s at his famed Fillmore Auditorium. As a promoter and manager, he worked with the biggest names in rock, including the Grateful Dead, Jefferson Airplane, Jimi Hendrix, Santana, Led Zeppelin, and the Rolling Stones. The exhibit is on display through October 11th at the Skirball Center, located at 2701 North Sepulveda Boulevard. For more details, visit skirball.com/exhibitions. And that's a look at some things to do. And finally this week, construction along Reseda Boulevard isn't over yet, but cyclists near Cal State Northridge are already praising the latest colorful safety upgrades. Gil Reyes shows us from Northridge.
The most vibrant renovation along this stretch of Reseda Boulevard in decades is also easing the fears of cyclists.
I actually rode my bike here today, and I noticed the difference.
It's a 1-mile stretch of green and striped bike lane from Parthenia to Plummer Streets on Reseda near CSUN. And not your typical bike lane. This is the city's first bike protected lane. Cylindrical barriers and parked cars give cyclists layers of protection against moving cars.
And that buffer also gives this character an aesthetic, a welcoming visual appeal, so as you drive through, you want to stop and walk and shop.
Northridge Councilman Mitchell Englander and pals have collaborated on the vision plan for 3 years. They've added new trees and paved stone sidewalks to enhance the strip. There's also bright yellow furniture outside stores, inviting passerbys to stop and relax.
People tend to park in the back, and we want to have a reason for clients and customers to walk along the sidewalk, to kind of sit and enjoy, and to visit businesses through their front door.
It's all part of Mayor Garcetti's Great Streets Initiative, a plan to beautify 15 busy streets to encourage more cycling, walking, and public space.
Students will come down from CSUN, ride their bike in the protected lane, come to Joyce's Coffee, and hang out on the sidewalk. We're soliciting feedback right now on how we can extend this project further up Reseda.
The city is offering money for good ideas, part of the push to make CSUN and Northridge a true bike and pedestrian-friendly college town. Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Again, your Great Streets idea could earn you cash. $10,000 for individuals with opportunities to make more in matching grants. Visit ioby.org/LA-great-streets to learn more. And that's going to do it for this edition of LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Yana Kay. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org, and you can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Graffiti removal? Call 311, the toll-free number for non-emergency services. 311, your one call to City Hall.
Take two, 'cause I've got trouble holding this man of mine. It seems there's always...
Don't worry, Patty. This isn't going to hurt me one bit. Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Shapiro in beautiful Encino, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel. Open wide.
I want to thank Mr. Bloomingfield, Buscaino, Koretz, Marti.
Good morning. Welcome to the Los Angeles City Council. Today is Friday, May 22nd. We are live streaming on the internet and on Channel 35. So welcome to your Los Angeles City Council. And we would like to begin this meeting. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Huizar, Carrasco, Coin, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Weston. 10 members present, a quorum, Mr. President.
Great, thank you very much. And if we could please take the first item of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Okay, Mr. Blumenfeld moves, Mr. Bonin seconds. Next item, please.
Committee to resolutions for approval.
Okay, Mr. Cedillo moves, Mr. Huizar seconds. Thank you very much. Members, if I could direct your attention to the agenda, Madam Clerk, let's go ahead and run through the agenda now.
Item 1 is an item notice for public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety requests to continue item 1F to June 23rd and reports that item 1A and 1C may be received and filed inasmuch as the liens have been paid.
Great, thank you very much. That'll be the order without objection, and that leaves other items for number 1. And do we have cards?
Yes, cards on all the remaining items.
We'll go ahead and hold that on the desk. On 2 and 3, there are cards as well?
Cards, public hearing has been held. Items 2 and 3 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any specials on 2 and 3? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Great, thank you. Next items, please.
Items 4 through 9 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, those are considered without objection. Those are before us now. Do we have cards or any specials?
Cards on all items.
All, of course. All right. We'll go ahead and, at that point, if anybody has cards, go ahead and submit those now on any of those items. We'll consider the cards in, any cards that come in on any of those items now. Then we'll go ahead and file that we haven't received the cards, because we'll have all those items before us. One final card coming in? Okay. All right. Any other cards that come in, we'll go ahead and note and file that we received those cards for the record. And if you have cards for public comment, please make sure you put those in now as well. So with that, let's go ahead and we'll hold those then and go over to presentations. Our first presentation is from Council Member Cedillo. The floor is yours.
Buenos dias. Good morning.
Morning.
Yes. Vamos. Todos. Pasen, señor. Compañero. Placer, compañero. In the summer of 1978, I had the privilege and opportunity of traveling through Central America, as young people do in many circumstances or many times of their youth. We have this desire to go out and see the world. And I had an opportunity to travel through Central America, bus, foot, pickup truck, barge, through all the different ways that people get around. And one of the countries that I was privileged to visit was Nicaragua. Now, at the time, they were in the middle of a revolution. And there was this revolution that was raging, as it was throughout the entire region of Central America, people desiring change and democracy and a new way to lead their country. And it put an incredible imprint on myself. When I returned, I attended law school here up by MacArthur Park. And at that time, there was the beginning of what is now a very robust community of Central Americans. And leading that charge were the Nicaraguenses, who were exiles from the community, a community that was engaged in the Civil War. And today we have, as a result, not of my trip, but of that war, 200,000 Nicaraguenses that live here, primarily in the kind of central city area. And they have woven themselves in to become part of the social fabric that is part of this great city. They have their own color, they have their own culture, their own foods, their own language, and they play a central part in the vibrancy of what makes cultural tourism one of our, at the top of our agenda for tourism. And so today I'm very happy to announce the first Dia del Nicaragüense, the Day of the Nicaraguan. They've made great contributions to our city. They continue to assimilate and share their very vibrant mix of traditions of cuisine, art, literature with Angelinos. And this is going to be the first for many years to come. This day of recognition serves to uplift this heritage and their place in this great city of Los Angeles. And so we would like to salute the Comité Cultural Nicaragüense, José de la Cruz Meña, for taking the lead in putting together this day. And the city stands in solidarity behind all the pride that has been firmly established by the Nicaraguense people here in this city, the state, and this nation. And so, therefore, we have it resolved that by adoption of this resolution today in this city, in this very chamber, we announce Friday, May 22nd, as the Dia del Nicaragüense, Day of the Nicaraguan. With that, I'd like to introduce the Consul General, who has graced us with his presence, Mr. Leopoldo Castillo. Consul General. Pasan.
Gracias. Gracias, buenos días. Leopoldo Castillo Ramos, Cónsul General de Nicaragua, agradeciendo a los concejales de esta ciudad maravillosa de poder hacer un reconocimiento a nuestra comunidad nicaragüense y a todas las expresiones culturales que están asentadas acá en esta maravillosa ciudad y en esta diversidad de expresiones culturales en que está bañada, en que esta ciudad manifiesta, expresa todos los días, pues nosotros nos sentimos muy gozosos, nos sentimos muy reconfortantes el hecho que seamos parte también de este conglomerado, de esta gran cantidad de expresiones culturales, y dentro de estas grandes expresiones culturales hay unidad. Entonces,
¿Qué quería decir? Good morning, my name is, I am the General Counsel of... Good morning, I am the Consul General of Nicaragua. Here I am, I'm trying to...
Leopoldo Castillo. Hay un concepto moderno de unidad en diversidad.
There is a concept, a new concept in unity, in diversity.
Y no solamente desde el punto de vista social, económico, político.
Not only with a social, economical, or political point of view.
Pero el elemento cultural nos une a todos.
But the cultural element is the one that joins us together.
Independientemente de colores, de raza, de credos religiosos.
Independently from the color, race, religion.
Otras expresiones políticas.
From other points of view.
Y nos sentimos muy gozosos, muy alegres.
And we are very happy, we are very glad.
Que nuestros concejales, los concejales de la ciudad de Los Ángeles,
that our council members of the city of Los Angeles,
estén trabajando, estén haciendo reconocimiento hombro a hombro con toda la comunidad nicaragüense.
They are working with us, shoulder to help the Nicaraguense community.
Y a todas las comunidades que le dan vida, que le dan esa fuerza de motor económico a esta ciudad.
And with all the communities in the city of Los Angeles that are the driving force to give the power to the city of Los Angeles.
Gracias.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, let me introduce the president of the group, Yolanda Gutierrez.
Good morning. My name is Yolanda C. Gutierrez. I am the president of the Nicaragua Committee. Jose de la Cruz Mena. I want to thank all council members, but especially to our council member, Gil Cedilla, for all the support he gave every year to our Nicaraguan community. Thanks you, council member Cedillo. I want to take this opportunity to invite you to the second Nicaraguan Day Festival this coming Sunday, May 24, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And it's going to be in Pico Boulevard in Bonnie Brea. We will have the performance for the Great Nicaraguan Folklore Ballet from Managua, Nicaragua, America de Nicaragua. Nicaraguan food, refreshment, all are invited. Thanks very much.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce the Vice President, Lester Torres.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Buenos días, concejales.
Good morning, City Council members.
Concejal Gil Cedillo.
City Council member Cedillo.
Por vernos a dar la oportunidad de este reconocimiento
Thank you so much for giving us again the opportunity of this acknowledgement
y de estarnos apoyando siempre en nuestro festival nicaragüense.
and to support us always in this Nicaraguense festival.
Gracias, Gil Cedillo.
Thank you so much, Gil Cedillo.
Thank you.
And finally, we'll hear from Xiomara Fonseca.
Good morning. My name is Xiomara Fonseca. I am a founding member of the Nicaraguan Committee José de la Cruz Mena. First, I want to thank all the Los Angeles Council members to allow Nicaraguan communities to celebrate the important date. Deepest thanks to our Council member Gil Cedillo for this continued support to our community. There are approximately 400,000 Nicaraguans in the state of California and approximately 200,000 in the county of Los Angeles. Nicaragua, like other immigrant groups, reside in Los Angeles and United States, contribute socially, economically, and culturally to the society. A day of recognition for the Nicaraguan community serves to encourage these residents to learn about and participate in governmental and civic institutions and democracy. On behalf of the Nicaraguan community, I want to express our deepest appreciation for your support. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you. And can we just have the group stand? Levántese para ver. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Let's give them all another round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Cedillo. Now I'd like to turn the floor over to Councilman Price for a very special presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. We know how important education is in our community, and with that, I am extremely proud to be just recognizing an individual who has dedicated his professional services and his commitment to our community. Today, we celebrate Dr. Robert Whitman, the principal of Emmanuel Arts High School. Dr. Whitman has been an educator in the Los Angeles Unified School District as a teacher and administrator for over 15 years. Within his career, he has served as a teacher, an assistant principal at David Starr Jordan, and an assistant principal at West Adams Preparatory High School. Currently, as I said, for the last 4 years, he's been the principal at Emmanuel Arts. He leads a school of over 1,500 students and 150 certified and classified staff members. He has accepted the monumental task of turning around an underperforming high school where student engagement and academic achievement is now on a positive trajectory. Within his tenure, Emmanuel Arts has received an impressive 6-year accreditation. This is the first 6-year accreditation in over 20 years. And the school has experienced incremental increases in the California high school exit exam passage rates. Perhaps most impressively, Student suspensions have decreased by 300%, while graduation rates have increased 15%, outpacing LA Unified's average of 6%. And so, members, throughout his career, Dr. Whitman has maintained a philosophy of leave it better than he found it. And that's an attitude that inspires him to embrace change and to take pride in his work. And we are pleased about his commitment to the children, to the families, and our community. And members, I'd like for you to join me in congratulating Dr. Robert Whitman for his services as principal of Manual Arts High School. Dr. Whitman, why don't you want to say a few words?
Good morning, council members, and I just want to thank Mr. Price for the special recognition. And on behalf of the students and staff of Manual Arts High School, I just want to thank Mr. Price again for his responsiveness to support our school initiatives and activities such as our garden, our campus beautification events, as well as other events such as Earth Day, and also the exposure opportunities that his office has provided to our students. And we're very thankful to have him. And as our council member in the 9th District, he and his office have been very responsive to the needs of the community, and for that we thank him deeply. So thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, now I'd like to turn it over to Councilmember Joe Buscaino for a special presentation.
Thanks, brother. Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. This was worth the wait. I guarantee you, it was worth the wait. We're here to honor and celebrate our Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council's annual Public Safety Summit, celebrating their success in bridging the gap between communities throughout the San Pedro area, and also working with the Los Angeles Police Department and other stakeholders. Joining me here, colleagues, is the LAPD Harbor Area Commanding Officer, Captain Meek, my partners, Senior Lead Officers Adriana Bravo and Junior Nua, our General Manager of the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, Gracie Liu, President of the Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council, James Diamond, the Coastal Neighborhood Council Rec and Parks Chair, Jim Baeza, its Communications Chair, Shannon Ross, and Dave Behar, the former board member and president of the Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council and founder of the Public Safety Summit. We know in our experiences with the Los Angeles Police Department that police officers, as much as they want to be on every street corner 24/7, it's impossible. And therein lies the importance of community-based, relation-based policing. And the Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council have really embraced this summit to find ways to reduce crime and work with community-based policing efforts throughout the San Pedro area. Under the leadership of then President Dave Behar, who established the annual San Pedro Public Safety Summit in 2013, it drew over 200 stakeholders throughout the harbor area, engaged with law enforcement and community leaders at the San Pedro Elks Lodge. Since 2013, the summit has grown to include representation from the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office, the LA Fire Department, local schools, the CERT teams, and even neighboring jurisdictions like Rancho Palos Verdes and beach cities. The annual summit provides tools, information, and insight to locals on how to keep themselves and their neighbors safe while fostering positive dialogue between citizens and government, provide better understanding of common and specific concerns that are occurring in the community. What's really great about this summit is the fact that it doesn't cater to just residents, but also it caters to these neighborhoods throughout the San Pedro area. And this past year, we had leadership from other San Pedro neighborhood councils that were present and engaged, as well as block captains from different neighborhoods throughout the San Pedro community. The Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council has demonstrated an ability to work together with stakeholders, community organizations, and local government in an effort to positively impact the quality of life in the San Pedro area. The Neighborhood Council also participates in the Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Watch Group, which today, Brandomir, how many members in that Cyber Watch? Over 3,000 members of this Neighborhood Watch Facebook page. And of the 9 Neighborhood Watch groups, this is the most active, and we owe a debt of gratitude to the efforts of the Neighborhood Council that encourage people to be the eyes and ears on this Facebook page. As a result of this Facebook page, and maybe I'll have Captain Meek speak on it, we made a significant arrest, a multi-3 burglary arrest, because of the engaged members of this Neighborhood Watch Facebook page and the information that was flowing between neighbors and the police department. And it was a significant arrest. And since that arrest last week, we've seen a tremendous reduction in property crimes in the coastal region of San Pedro. The bottom line is that our Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council are engaged and participate in community and are a good example for the rest of the city. I want to thank each and every one of you for your commitment and for working together with our law enforcement community and emergency services, and including my office. It's a great partnership that we have with our Coastal Neighborhood, San Pedro Neighborhood Council. It really takes a village. And with that being said, I want to bring up our General Manager, Department of Neighborhood Power, Gracie Liu, to say a few words.
Good morning, council members. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Buscaino, for taking the time to honor Coastal San Pedro. Coastal San Pedro is our second certified neighborhood council, so they've always been a leader in terms of civic engagement. They will be celebrating 15-year anniversary next year. So one thing about Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council that has always been great is that they've always put their community and stakeholders first. They are known for having the fewer pages of bylaws. They used to have actually only 5-page bylaws, which help their stakeholders understand their processes. And they are the only neighborhood council that actually puts a time limit on board member comments and allows their stakeholders to give unlimited public comment. So this is no surprise to me that they are receiving this honor. They've always, again, put their stakeholders first, and I really want to congratulate Coastal San Pedro on this honor. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Liu. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if I may bring up James Diamond, the president of the Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council, to say a few words. James.
I want to thank the City Council and, most importantly, Joe Buscaino's office. I believe that this is an example that neighborhood councils can function properly as long as you're working with the elected officials towards solutions and not concentrating on the problems. I would be remiss not to mention Ryan Ferguson, Jacob Hayek, Brandomir, Anna Dragon, Nicole Wells, who have always been open and available to address the issues that are facing San Pedro. I also want to thank Dave Behar. I want to thank James Beza. I want to thank Shannon Ross and the Harbor Division, who again have an open door policy that allow us to address our issues and focus on solutions. This has been a great experience for me being involved with the Neighborhood Council, and Joe, I look forward to working with you and your staff in the future. Thank you very much.
Thanks, JD. Thank you, James, for your commitment to service to our communities. We appreciate that. And finally, Captain Meek, one of our newest commanding officers at the Harbor area, who embraces community-based policing, even more so relation-based policing. Now we're hearing the mayor's commitment, even more so the budget that we approved yesterday, really focused on relation-based policing, creating a new division, in the police department that elevates our commitment to community-based policing. So with that, Captain Meek, we say welcome, and we look forward to working with you, and we ask you to say a few words as well.
Good morning, Council. We just would like to thank Coastal San Pedro and the councilmen for their continued support. It's wonderful to have partners that we can go to and support us, and we're happy to support them. The councilman talked about that burglary arrest in our Facebook pages. That's not an isolated incident. Our community members are very engaged, and they are giving us information and helping us all the time where we can and try and make San Pedro and Harbor area in general a better place to work and live. And the summit that the councilman spoke about regarding youth and that summit last October spawned some youth programs and some youth summits where we had young people, including our teen CPAB president, who is at San Pedro High School, where they were addressing violence against young women, young adult women. So we're working in partnership all the time, and thank you for Coastal San Pedro for that summit and for the councilman's support, always supporting our youth programs and trying to better the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate this. And message to all these knuckleheads out there, don't even think about coming down to the harbor area. You will be watched, you'll be tracked down, and you will be arrested. So thank you very much. And on behalf of this entire body and the mayor, we want to recognize Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council for their efforts in addressing community-based policing and also putting together this incredible award-winning Public Safety Summit in San Pedro. Thank you. All right.
Great. Thank you very much. A big round of applause.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, colleagues, we're going to go ahead and turn our attention back to the agenda. And with that, I did make an announcement earlier that we were going to take the cards only that were submitted on time. But what we're going to do instead is we have a very tight quorum today, and we were in here an extra day as well. Since yesterday we did have the budget hearing, and thank you all for that and weighing in on that throughout the entire process. But since we do have a quorum, a very tight quorum today, and in fear of losing, I'd rather get through the agenda than lose a quorum and complete the people's business. We'll go ahead and take all the cards, but go ahead and have a 4-minute total on each one of them so we can get through them. And we'll go ahead and start with Antonia Ramirez, and you have cards on 6, 17, and 9. I'm sorry, 6, 7, and 9. 6, 7, and 9.
Thank you very much. Here they instruct, item number 3. Here they instruct the LA Housing and Community Investment Department to work with the LA City Attorneys to amend several sections, as well as any other pertinent and relevant provisions that the City Attorney may deem necessary to carry on recommended changes. Will City Attorney and public servants for the LA taxpayers first and foremost house all our homeless military veterans and their families, also pilots, legal law-abiding citizens, and stop unlawfully housing all the evil Latino chango gangbangers and diabolical, filthy, scummy wetbacks who only trash and dilapidate all their neighborhoods. Take a look. They live like pigs, and they are a toxic urban blight. Deport all of them, no amnesty and no asylum statuses. Asco. And they think they're entitled to everything here in America. Give me a break. Item number 5. This motion put on by
You're on 6, 7, and 9, ma'am. 6, 7, and 9 are the cards you filled out.
Okay. Number 6. Oh, you're lucky, Buscaino. Relative to the selection of an intern from Getty Foundation Multicultural Undergraduate Summer Internship Program, before we authorize the Director of Planning to accept the grant of the amount of $4,500 from the Getty Foundation to start the search selection of an intern to participate in the Multicultural Undergraduate Summer Internship Program, tell Getty Foundation, big enchiladas, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves by engendering multicultural crap. How about edifying and instilling the true Americanism and patriotism? Hoorah-rah! Stop the double entendre BS. That means no wetbacks or Latino gangbangers in the internship program. But you will select children of military veterans and military aviators and pilots like our dear beloved Gillespie Daredevil pilots extraordinaire, or our hybrid U.S. military aviators and their children, and the Big Mama airline pilots and their children. How about our law enforcement chopper pilots and their children? And, yeah, LAPD chopper pilots kick ass. And number 7, you said? This item is on, could you turn the microphone on?
The mic is on, ma'am. Keep talking.
Number 7, the item is on the project to acquire, rehabilitate, improve a 30-unit affordable housing project called Sycamore Village Apartments located at 523 South Rampart Boulevard. Ladies and gentlemen, caveat, caveat. When you hear or see the word affordable, watch out. And when you see the word project, watch out. And the city streets called Rampart, double watch out. Because all these words indicate Latino toxic urban blight. These affordable housing projects in South Rampart are diabolical, filthy, wetback and chango gangbanging infestations. So I recommend you to make a U-turn and haul ass. These Latinos live like pigs. These Latino neighborhoods are ugly, man. I hauled ass myself. Get out of here. Number 9. Appropriate $680 or $680,000 on agenda number 9. What is it? Is it $680 or $680,000? And God knows Joe Buscaino needs to do something about this, the transportation and public safety, because again, Joe Buscaino is a lazy ass who censors you, and he should be given the royal boot. He has no respect as a public servant to the speakers, as he did this morning at public safety, who is part of transportation. Again, Joe Buscaino deserves a royal boot. Hasta la vista. Even Al Capone had better manners than you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Your time is up. You've been warned twice. Okay, thank you. All right, next speaker. Please do not applause from... If you're going to have outbursts, you're going to be asked to leave because you're disrupting the meeting. So unless you're speaking at the podium, you will not disrupt this meeting, please, so we can do the people's business. Thank you very much. That'll be the fair and final warning on that. John Walsh on items 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Mr. President, as Mr. Walsh is coming, for the record, for item 7, there's a request to amend the hearing date to June 12th.
On item
7.
7, okay. So it'll be just on items 1, 4, 5, 6, and 8.
At 1 minute apiece, that's 5 minutes, not 4 minutes. John Walsh, for identification purposes only, chairman of the Anybody But Englander for Supervisor.
So you're going to stay on the subject, or you're going to be asked to forfeit your time?
Number 1, hearing protest, appeals or objections. Somebody will be coming up who was given an unjust lien. He'll be. We've talked to him. He's got an excellent case. Number 4, REAP. REAP is a good organization. Does an excellent job. When you do the right thing, we applaud you. I'm not one of those old guys that say, "Oh, a bunch of crooks." You're doing a good job on REAP. Number 5, this is street vacation. You do this all the time to give developers 350 feet, 430 feet. This is a gift to developers, and they give to your office holders account. Direct the Bureau of Education to present its report vacating. Vacating means handing over property. This is worth maybe $800,000-900,000. Remember, give them $1,000, they'll give you $100,000 if you're a developer. The next one, number 6, an intern from the Getty Foundation. The Getty Foundation is racist. I accept the grant in the amount of $4,500. I'm told that the intern is a young white man, because if that's not true, if it's a minority, fine. Correct me if I'm wrong, or let it stand. The Getty Foundation is racist. Number 7. This is, I don't hear
You're actually, number 7 is not on the agenda any longer. You're on number 8.
Number 8. Well, you announced number 7. I guess you were wrong. This is the NBC Universal. NBC Universal is sort of a junior partner at City Council. They get anything they want. Right here, although part of it is, this is $100,000 which is supposed to be spent for improvements in the area. Instead of doing it yourself, you are handing $100,000 over to NBC Universal. You know how many prostitutes Universal can buy with $100,000? This is $100,000. Why are they being given? No one's going to say anything. And the girls over at the press, and I'm not talking about the female, I'm talking about the boy girls, they're not going to do anything, ask you any questions, because all the boy girls in the press are in love with Garcetti.
He is
and
not
Garcetti's
talking
in
about
love
that,
with NBC Universal. Bye!
Herman on 1, 5, 6, 7, and 9.
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to keep it to 1 minute per item, so you only have 4 here. You don't know how to count. So we're going on item 1 regarding a lien posted at 3518 East Lavelle Drive, L-A-V-E-L-L, for a measly $3,930. I demand that you, Mr. Big Ears, upon this constituent in CD1,
stay on
help
subject.
them avoid the penalties. Waive all the
I'm going to ask you to turn the light off. I'm going to ask you to turn the light off. Excuse me, you're interrupting the meeting. Stop his clock. I'm going to ask you to turn the light off. You're not going to flash lights or any other. Okay, that's fine. Without the light, you could do without the light on. Okay, go ahead and start his time again.
Is it off? Can I record now?
Your light's back on. You're disrupting the meeting with that.
It's a recording device, sir.
Okay.
You don't like recording? You don't permit recording?
Now you're disrupting. You're not staying on subject. We've asked you to shut it off, and you refuse to shut it off.
So
Your light's still on.
You're killing my time, sir. Stop the time.
No, I'm not going to stop the
Okay, I'm
time.
going to turn this shit off. There, how's that?
There you go.
Fucking idiot. Yeah, fucking idiot.
Okay, now
Taking
you're
up my
not on
time.
subject, and you're disrupting the meeting. Stick to the subject. Thank you.
Allow me to speak on item number 6 regarding Mr. Weezar in the Getty. You racist, racist, racist bees. And not little bees, big bees. Bitch, bitch, bitch about the Getty, yeah. Why don't you donate out of your own pocket from your special interest fund, Mr. Weezar? Now going to item number 7, Big Ears. Gang reduction meetings regarding 30-unit affordable housing projects called Syracuse Village. Why don't you call it the homeless village like we were in the meeting with Price and Joe Buscaino? Mr. Cedillo was there, and he said no. Hell no. Don't put homeless people's belongings in the trash. Hell no. Don't put people's belongings off the sidewalks in the trash. Hell no. Why? Because it's unconstitutional. And I thank you, Mr. Cedillo, for having the balls to tell Buscaino
He is not talking about this item.
Affordable infrastructure for housing. More affordable housing, Mr. City Attorney. I didn't know you were the speaker. But going on the subject of TERFA hearing for the City Council meeting to be held on Tuesday, June 2nd, 2015 at 10 a.m. located at 200 North Spring Street. Am I on subject, Mr. City Attorney? Exactly, because I'm reading it off the agenda. You see, Dion? Look, I know how to read. Again, motion from Cedillo and Bloomfield relative to a Tax Equity and Physical Responsibility Act of 1982, TEFRA, acronym like when I put my acronyms on my cards, hearing regarding the acquisition, rehabilitation, and improvement of a 30-unit affordable housing for no homeless people called Syracuse Village Apartments. Waive all council-approved bond policies. I demand the FBI investigate this federal and state obligation of the City of Los Angeles to provide affordable housing for all your residents, including the homeless who have their property on sidewalks and streets. And then it goes to instruct the city clerk, Eric, oh, we got a lady there, Eric, to replace the agenda for the city council meeting to be held on Tuesday without any interruptions or cameras or videotaping regarding the TEFRA hearings, result and adoption to be a hearing resolution to follow conduct of public hearing. Well, you know what? F you, because you took away my time, and that's conduct to you, big ears.
All right, thank you very much. Wayne, on items 1, 4, 7, and 9.
Well, I can put it up. I'm speaking, right? Okay. Did you see the Nazis? Now, let's go to item number 1. Welcome to the Republic Fascist City of Los Angeles on the building code violation liens. No due process of law. No due process of law. Racist. Racist, no due process of law. All these homeowners, all these property owners with these ridiculous liens because they're in the way of the developers and the campaign donors of Los Angeles. You're in the way, you're homeless. Well, you're homeless, you get shot by LAPD. But if you own land, you get a lien. Turn the goddamn thing on. All right, now, nobody's paying attention because there's no quorum here. Now, when you go, they claim you have hearing protests. We have speakers here today on these items. Where are they? Well, they're here, and they want to know, why do they have a lien? Why do they have a lien? They had no notice of it. They don't know why. And the reason is because none of you know why. You know as much as I do. The only thing I know is there's a bunch of money due. That's what I know. Now, continuing with the ever-ending corruption, scams, and lies and deceit in the city, we have Cedillo and Blumenfield buying property. They are so smart. 523 South Rampart Boulevard. They're going to buy, acquire, rehabilitate, and they're going to improve a 30-unit affordable housing project. The only way they can improve anything in Los Angeles is to tear it down. That's how they can afford to improve anything. Tear it down because it's rent-controlled. Nobody in the private sector can afford to manage it. That's why you're buying this piece of garbage. And you're buying it at a time when property prices are up 47% since the recession. You should have been buying the goddamn thing when the banks were foreclosing. You could have bought it for $500,000 cash. But instead, you're going to pay somebody a couple of million for something you could have got $500,000. And now we get our little pimps at NBC Universal, the pimps, who, by the way, relocated from Burbank over to unincorporated Los Angeles County. NBC Universal is not in the city limits of the city of Los Angeles because they know they can't trust you. They don't want to be involved with you, so they're on the outskirts. So today, however, we got some lucky people in the Toluca Estates Drive Homeowners Association who are all white and going to be paid off for some sort of deal that Universal wants. Whatever they want, they get because they're on television. And when you guys run Carolyn Ramsey, for example, you get television coverage. But when a Korean American wins on NBC Universal, you don't even cover it. David Rue won, and you don't cover it, NBC Universal, you racist fuck. You don't cover the fact that the first Asian American since Michael Wu got on this council because NBC Universal didn't want that. NBC Universal wanted the campaign donor selection poverty pimp Ramsey to win. But because their boy didn't win, their little girl didn't win, the boy won. So NBC Universal, screw you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Spindler. Next speaker, actually we're going to go to item 1, Madam Clerk. And the first speaker on item 1 is Mark Barton. Is he here? Mark Barton, is that you?
Good morning. Boy, you take a lot of abuse, verbal abuse from the public, I tell you that. All right. This is about a minor construction done in a house, few $100s or whatever that might be. And the property owner is a lady having the heavy-duty cancer. You can see this picture here. And she's struggling to survive. And I have all the documentation here
Sir, I'm
from
going
the
to ask
hospital.
you to hold this time for just a second. Sergeants, can you help me with our audience who's continuing to disrupt our meeting? Mr. Spindler with his hands and Mr. Herman up and down. Mr. Spindler and Mr. Herman, I'm going to ask you one more time. Please stop disrupting our meeting. Thank you. Sir, continue. Sorry about that.
I can't hear you very well. I can.
Sir, just go ahead and continue. I had to stop your time because our audience was disrupting the meeting, but you can continue now. Go ahead.
All right. Anyway, can I get credit for the time or? All right. Anyway, I definitely, and then there is a lien of almost $4,000. This lady barely can pay the deductible from the Medicare, Medical, or whatever. Anyway, and let alone come up with almost $4,000 for a lien. I think that this is just, that this shouldn't be confirmed at all. And if you want to have some kind of a nominal fee, that something like a few $100s or something, okay, I can figure a way so that can be paid. But this over $4,000 is totally outrageous. This lady's suffering.
Sir?
And,
Sir, I have the council member that represents the property that you are speaking about, Mr. Cedillo. Did you want to hold this on the desk?
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, well, that's fine. Yeah, well, that is what I'm here for.
Okay, so I'm going to have someone from Mr. Cedillo's office speak to you at the ropes, and we're going to hold this item on the desk.
Yeah, just going to go and, yeah.
Okay.
All right, I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Next speaker on item 1, Jaime Guillermo. Good morning, sir. You're speaking on item 1D.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for your time. My house is being liened by the Department of Building and Safety. I tried to correct those that citation that I got, and I went to their office several times, write them a letter, make numerous phone calls. The citation that I got is in regard that I'm running a welding business out of my house. It's a small house with a 3,500 square foot total lot, and I only have a front yard about 15 by 25. I am a general contractor since the year 2000, and I also have a City of Los Angeles certification of fabrication shop, and I presented to the Department of Building and Safety their own certificate is approved that I held in those licenses. So that means that I have a 20,000 square feet facility to do welding and production and do buildings. And since they told me several times that this stuff was going to be clear out of the record, and it never happened. And now I'm here recommending not to proceed with this lien. So that's what I'm here for.
Okay, sir, we are going to go ahead and continue this item for 2 weeks.
Okay.
You can go ahead and someone will speak to you at the ropes. But we're going to continue your item for 2 weeks.
And for the record, that's June 5th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker on item 1 is Jose Davila. Jose Davila. Item 1G, is he here? Good morning. Thank you, sir.
Good morning. Yes, I'm Jose Davila, and I live at 13697 De Garmo The city apparently has posted a lien on my residence for building some horse stables. I'd like to request a 2-week extension.
Sir, we're going to go ahead and continue your item for 2 more weeks.
Okay,
Do you need to speak to someone from the department, or are you clear about what you need to do?
I'm done.
You're done? Okay,
Yes.
sir. Thank you very much.
And Madam President, for the record, there is a request also to continue item 1H for 2 weeks to June 5th.
Very well. Mr. Cedillo, you're on the queue.
Yes, we want to continue that matter for 2 weeks.
Thank you, sir. We'll do that.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, we're going to vote on the remaining items on item 1. Open the roll.
Announcements I want to talk about.
Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Item passes. Thank you. Next item. Item 5.
Item 5 calls motion for cards.
For the next 2 days.
There are no cards on this item, Madam Clerk, so open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Item passes. Next item. Item 4. There are no cards on this item, Madam Clerk. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Item passes. Next item.
Item 6 calls motion for cards.
Item 6. There are no more cards on this item. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Item passes. Next item.
Item 7 calls motion for cards. And also, Madam President, there's a request to amend the hearing date to June 12th.
Very well. I've got one card. Yvonne Michelle Attree, I believe the last name is. Is she here? Good morning, ma'am. You're speaking on item 7.
Yes, my name is Autry, like Gene Autry, the actor. Yvonne Michelle Autry, not Ashley. A-U-T as in Triumph, R-Y. Yes,
Thank you for clearing that for me.
Right,
I would appreciate the handwriting be a little bit more clear so I can read
I
it.
shall in the
Thank you,
future.
ma'am. Go ahead.
I've only been speaking here about 12 years. What I'd like to say relative to this specific property and all of the properties that are being reviewed for any possible improvement or renovation, that you would hopefully allocate more monies to maintain or raise the standard of quality of living for people in these programs so that we don't suffer slumlord conditions. Right now in the regentrification process, more money, of course, is being allocated towards the construction of lofts. I guess that's what you're being financed or paid to do, or condominiums, and again, people that are still recipients of affordable housing, Section 8 are being neglected. So these programs, they need to be fortified, maintained, and I think that more funding needs to be allocated, especially for the rehabilitation and improvement, not only of this unit, but other units in this program. More monies, not for the police, but for maintenance of the standard of quality of living and then improving that standard. For this, again, for this property and all others that are in consideration in downtown and Los Angeles at large. Thank you. And also, just for the record, this officer, I think his name is Barragan.
Thank you, ma'am. You need to speak. You need to stick to speaking to the item 7.
Told me that I was not able to submit a card. I've been coming here 12 years.
Thank you, ma'am. That concludes our speakers for item 7. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Item passes. Next item, item 8.
Item 8 calls motion for cards.
Eric Previn. Item 8. Is he here? Good morning, sir. You're speaking on item 8.
And item 5, correct? And 5.
We're done with item 5, sir.
Well,
We
I'll
voted
take
on that
the
already.
4 minutes.
Item 8, go ahead.
You've given others 4 minutes, so I'll take 4 minutes. So you must have lost my card.
You
It's
are
Eric
not
Previn.
taking four
Thank you.
minutes, sir. You've got 2. And
Ms.
the
Martinez,
clock is ticking.
restore my time, and I'll start for 2 minutes. Come on, let's go. Okay, it's Eric Previn from CD2. I'm a resident of Studio City for 29 years. This item 8 has to do with basically giving $100,000 back to NBC Universal, and then they, at their discretion, will provide it to the Toluca Estates Neighborhood Association. It's $100,000. This is a group, NBC Universal, that lobbies prodigiously here at the city. They spent $300,000 in 2014 that I was able to tally. It's with Latham and Watkins and SOMAS, the group, and of course Ek and Ek. These are big lobbyists. They have a seat at the table here at City Council, and they have a seat at the Ethics Commission table too, because recently Anna Teresa Dahan was added by our fine mayor, Mayor Garcetti, to the Ethics Commission, and she works in the Governmental Affairs Office at NBC Universal Legal. So that seems a bit close for comfort, to be honest. It was on item 2, May 15th, but I was denied access to speak on it because Mr. Englander has a very interesting interpretation of the law. The Ethics Commission, I will say, has been doing a very good job of tracking lobbyist behavior. In 2010, there was about $32 million worth of lobbying down here, not by NBC Universal, by all of them. By 2013, it had risen to, and I kid you not, I believe the number is 42 million. So there was a 28% increase in lobbying here. That's a much larger increase than we saw at the state, where you have approximately 170 million. But City of Los Angeles gets a lot of lobbyist activity down here. Now, my question is, on this one, we're really being very, very trustworthy. And it's fair to say Tom LaBonge and Ron Galperin were out at NBC Universal at a big party in March, kind of agreeing to this plan. But they didn't sign it. And Mr.
Thank you, sir. That concludes your time. Madam Clerk, there are no more cards on item 8. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Item passes. Next item, item 9.
Item 9 calls pleasure for cards.
There are no more cards for this item. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Item passes. We're now moving on to public comment. First speaker, Antonia Ramirez, followed by Eric Previn and Mr. Herman.
Madam President, there's a request to send item 9 forthwith.
Without objection. Good morning, ma'am. This is public comment.
Good morning. I have a quote from Councilman Joe Buscaino. You'll be watched, you'll be tracked down, and you will be arrested by the draconian Nazi. I am disappointed with Joe Buscaino because today's public safety meeting that he headed went from 8:35 a.m. to 8:47 a.m. with no allowing anybody to speak on any agenda item, but he did give me the time to speak on public comments. I am shocked, I'm horrified. You are a public servant for the people, by the people. You have failed. You need the royal boot. Having said that, again, I would like to reiterate, Google search Ted Gunderson or Ted Gunderson, who speaks on gang stalkings. Many law-abiding citizens, including myself and innocent victims, are being gang stalked by the LAPD, sheriffs, city attorneys like Heidi Matz, etc. I would like you to Google search Ted Gunderson, who again talks about the torture and the violence committed against law-abiding American citizens. Thank you, and God bless America.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, Eric Previn and Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman, I'm going to ask you one more time to please sit down.
Yes, it is Eric Previn, a resident from CD2. Ms. Martinez, I think you know Anna Teresa Dahan because she was your campaign advisor. So it was very rude to take 15 seconds out of my 2 minutes whilst not providing what you provided for the other speakers. I mean, this body really does an excellent job of disenfranchising the residents who are trying to participate. Yesterday I came down to the budget hearing because I had some comments and I was rudely denied any access to this meeting, which is just, it's really astonishing. Mr. Kretz, you said something that was very prescient during the budget hearing a couple days earlier. You said The Ethics Commission has been a complete failure, and I am quoting you. Now, I think what you meant was that they never enforced the stuff that's important. What I wanted to say was that the Public Matching Fund program this year has a debate requirement like every year. My opponent, CD2, Councilmember Krikorian, failed to debate me, and you all witnessed week in, week out in trying to participate in the public debate. And instead we get Supervisor Krikorian or
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, Mr. Herman, followed by John Walsh and Byron Barajas.
Here's a story of a young lady from Pacoima by the name of Nuri. She has one child and sits in glory to criticize you and me. She's not a part of our Brady Bunch, the Brady Bunch, because they lie and cheat to their constituents. Dun, 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 dun.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, is there anyone here who finds the light a distraction? Does anyone find it offensive that I point a camera at myself and all of you in the crowd while two cameras shine on us? This is Friday. We're having a good Friday. We're having fun. Little man on the podium with the big ears left because I got him upset over a light, my first constitutional right to speak and be heard under AB 194, Measure 42. So don't get mad, roo, 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 because me and the family of the Brady Bunch have you, roo, 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 Brady Bunch, roo, 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 roo.
Mr. Walsh, and then followed by Byron Barajas.
Blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or at J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems, and you can always find me at Two Urban Girls. There are two great roos. One is a pitcher for the Dodgers, and the other is now going to be on the city council. We have sent a letter to the head of state of Korea asking for him to come and help in the swearing in, the historic swearing in of David Ryu. The reason Ryu won is because we got up here for several months and spoke out here and backed him. We did it on our political blogs. We got the people out. It wasn't even close. We crushed Carolyn Ramsey's career forever, and Labange ends on a sour note. We won the election. The independent bloggers provided his 1,600 vote margin. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Next speaker, Byron Barajas, followed by Yvonne Michelle Autry.
All right. On the LaRouche PAC website, there's something titled A Vernaskian Reconsideration of Galactic Cycles and Evolution. I'm in the process of finishing that report. But what I read so far was totally coherent to how and why people have a hard time understanding causes in terms of what is the cause which here on Earth we experience things from the galaxy. Now, the policies to which our representation, like Jerry Brown, like a drought situation, it's incompetent because he has to think about it's not mankind that caused the weather to change. It's from a cycle that we have gone through millions of years, and people like Jerry Brown and Obama are so insane they would kill us all.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, Yvonne Michelle Autry, followed by Bill Watkins.
Well, what I'd like to speak on, first of all, I wanted to thank Councilman Price for a number of years ago in initiating that reward for the Grim Reaper killers as a black woman who's lived downtown for 12 years, born in Inglewood, almost many years ago. I'd like to say that the stalking of homeless, especially black women and women of color, continues, and I think that not only should there be an acceleration in the resolution of the DNA kits, but I have reason to believe that many of these men, Latin, African American, I believe some of them might be undercover police officers, black ops, special ops, because it's not stopped. And I believe that one man was not the only culpable. There were many. I have to walk in the middle of the street. They're on bicycle, and they're not just local pimps. Okay, I filed up reports against police officers calling me baby, and it's all been found.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker.
It's justified.
Ma'am, your time is up. Next speaker, Mr. Bill Watkins. You're disrupting the meeting, ma'am. I'm going to ask you to sit down. Thank you. Go ahead. Mr. Watkins, I apologize for that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No problem. Good morning. Thanks. Organizing thoughts. Just wanted to say thank you for anyone who involved in keeping Alvaro Street so nice. It's a gym in our city. So whoever is over there helping with that, keep it up. That should be number one priority. Number two, keeping this city pretty. I just love it over there. I appreciate that. I have a day of rest ordinance that I'm starting to cook up for taking a day off public work and all public business. Brought to that by Mr. Cedillo in your district. How you doing, sir? Sorry to interrupt. There's a fireworks show going to be happening on a Sunday night right across the hill from me. We got to beware of Sunday activities. Everybody. What are we doing on Sunday? If you're not religious and have a Sabbath day, let's just still consider a day off to think about a power greater than ourselves. And just slow down and think about others. And any proceeds from saving on Sundays, let's give to the homeless. Thank you so much. I have some things to distribute if a sergeant of arms can come up.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, that concludes our public comment. What's before us?
Council has motions for post and referral.
Post and referred.
That clears the
members,
desk.
Thank you. And members, any announcements? Mr. Cedillo?
Yeah, two announcements. I think it's very important for us here in the spring. We have graduation, and I want to acknowledge my staff member, Pedro Ramirez, just graduated from Cal State University Long Beach with a master's in public policy administration. And congratulations.
Congratulations.
But what's significant about him is that Pedro's also a dreamer. And I got to meet him when he was student body president of Fresno. And he had been elected by fellow students and got up and announced courageously that he was a dreamer. And he began to work with our office during that time period and came down to pursue his studies and then joined our office once he was able to apply for DACA. And now has been a vital member of our staff since the first day. And I'm very proud of him for getting his master's. So that's number one. Number two, kind of along the same theme, is that as you recall last fall, there were all these unaccompanied minors that were coming to the border. And it created a crisis for us, a moral crisis for us in terms of how to respond to them. Out of that has emerged this incredible play that I had the privilege of getting a pre-screening last night, the rehearsals. It's a play called Unaccompanied Alien Children, to be determined time of arrival. And it's at the Red Cat, and it's sold out, but if you get an opportunity, you may want to see if you can, as council members, get a chance to go see it. It's an incredible play written by the voices of many of them who came on their own, and they are participating in the play. They participated in the writing of the play, and it tells the story from all the various angles of what the experiences were of these young children who came on their own from their countries in Central America to our border to come to our country. And so it's a lovely story, great story. It comes out of a project in my district called Plaza de la Raza at Lincoln Park, and it's a partnership with Cal Arts, and it's a Cal Arts project with Plaza de la Raza. It's at the Red Cat right now for the weekend, through the entire weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Cedillo. Any other announcements, members? Go ahead, Mr. Buscaino.
Madam President, Monday, 1 o'clock, I know we have a number of Memorial Day celebrations throughout the city, but there's one not to miss is at the Battleship, Iowa. 1 o'clock, please join us to pay tribute to the men and women who served our country and paid the ultimate sacrifice. So 1 o'clock, Battleship, Iowa, down at San Pedro along our LA waterfront. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Blumenfield.
About Memorial Day stuff, the one parade in the city of Los Angeles on Memorial Day is held in the San Fernando Valley in Canoga Park on Monday starting at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, sir. Any other announcements, members? Any adjourning motions? Adjourning motions? Mr. Buscaino?
Thank you.
Stand up for adjourning motions, including the audience. Please stand.
Come straight to me. Thank you. Colleagues, I ask that we adjourn in memory of Carmela Castagnola, who was born in Ischia, Italy on November 11th, 1931, and passed away surrounded by her family on May 12th. She is survived by her 3 sons, Augie, Bob, and Anthony, grandchildren Michael, Nicole, Jake, Anthony, and Allison, great-grandchildren Brandon and Kristen, and Giovanna and Liliana, siblings Felina, Scagliamillo, and Anna Tab. She was preceded in death by her loving husband of 63 years, Angelo Castagnola, her parents Biagio Cuomo and Caterina Curci, and brother Giovanni Giuseppe Cuomo. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to Mary Star of the Sea High School. Visitation was held last Monday, and a beautiful funeral mass, from what my dad tells me, was held this last Tuesday at Mary Star of the Sea Parish. May Carmela rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buscaino. Anyone else adjourning motions? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Thank you very much.